Air. Tonight, the Mets once again take on the Toronto Blue Jays here at Rogers Centre in Toronto, Canada. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by the State Farm agent of the game, Pat Cawley of Glendale, New York. Contact Pat at patcawley.com. By Spectrum. Hey, Mets fans, get the best TV, internet, and voice service today at spectrum.com. By USAA Insurance, banking and investments tailored for the military community. And by Geico, the #1 insurer in the New York market. Might not know it here in Toronto, but it is the 4th of July. They celebrated their national holiday on the 1st, Canada Day, but it is another terrific night for baseball here in the 5th largest city in North America as we get a look at the CN Tower right beside Rogers Centre and the beach. The beach here in Toronto, right on the shores of Lake Ontario. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Apple alongside Ron Darling. Gary Cohen has this night off once again. Very happy and healthy 4th of July. Hope you and your family are enjoying. So the Mets looking to bounce back from a very tough 8-6 loss last night, Ronnie. Dom Smith in the lineup once again tonight, had a couple of doubles in last night's defeats.
You know, they've been working really hard with Dominic to try to cut down his swing, put the ball in play, hit it to all fields, and last night was the result of it. A couple of doubles, one to right field, one to left field. If I were the Mets, I would tell this young man, you're in the lineup till the All-Star break. Please show us what you can do so you can stay here for the rest of the season.
So that's a young guy, 23 years old. And then there's a wily veteran by the name of Curtis Granderson. We know him well. He's 37 years old, Ron. He was in the lineup, a couple of doubles last night. He's in right field tonight and in the leadoff spot once again for the Jays.
You know what I most remember about Curtis as a New York Met? While everyone else was going down, he was the guy that played every day. And last night had 2 key doubles to key the comeback for the Toronto Blue Jays. He's now 5 for 12 against the Mets this year with 4 doubles, 4 runs scored, doing what Curtis does.
He is incredible, just keeps right on going. Pitching matchup tonight, Corey Oswalt goes for the Mets. It's going to be his 2nd major league start. First one against the Marlins down in Miami on Friday of last week did not go very well.
Well, this is a very important start for Oswalt because if he does not pitch well, he'll be sent back to AAA. He only had an ERA in the mid-5s in AAA. They need him to pitch well because that way they can keep Seth Lugo in the bullpen.
And Marcus Stroman goes to the mound for the Toronto Blue Jays. He's a Long Island native. He's been really good since coming off the DL.
The fiery competitor, Marcus Stroman. If he is going well tonight, you'll see a lot of ground balls. He has great sink on his fastball.
So it's Stroman going up against Oswalt. Mets and the Blue Jays, 2nd game of this short 2-game series on the way. appliance, electronics, and mattress retailer of the New York Mets. By Hyundai, get a great deal more than a great deal on all new Hyundai vehicles. See your Hyundai dealer today. And by Verizon, the most awarded network is now the best streaming network. The 2018 Camping World MLB All-Star Ballot ends July the 5th. Make sure your favorite New York Mets are represented in this year's squad by voting at Mets.com/vote. Catch all the excitement of the 89th MLB All-Star Game, July 17th, live on Fox. As we get a drive around the majors right now, it is presented by Cadillac, and the Red Sox just keep right on winning. They beat the Washington Nationals, who now fall a game under 500. Eduardo Rodriguez, 6 shutout innings in that game. JT Riddle had a big game for the Marlins as they shut out Tampa 3-0. And Aaron Nola, 7 innings, really solid. Philadelphia leads Baltimore 4-1 in the 9th inning, following up a really good outing by Zach Eflin last night by the Phils. Plenty of fraternization here as the Mets and Blue Jays get set to go here at Rogers Center. On the 4th of July, other occasions were all in Montreal, someplace you know quite well, Ronnie.
Yeah, I never went to the stadium, though, Jerry Park. One of the games had to be there, right?
Correct.
Along with Stade Olympique.
We get a check. Mets lineup. It's presented by Geico. Couple of changes from last night. Kevin Plawecki is in there behind the plate, and then Jose Reyes at shortstop. He's batting ninth. Devin Mesoraco took that ball off the face mask and then got hit on a backswing. Had a chance to visit with him in the clubhouse. He said he feels fine. He's passed all the prerequisite concussion tests, but he is getting this night off as Marcus Stroman goes to the hill for the Jays.
Well, if you look at his numbers, only 9 starts. He has been out for 7 weeks with right shoulder fatigue, but since he has come back, they say he has thrown as good as he's ever thrown it. He's one of those kids, a lot of sink on his fastball, and he can really spin the baseball. Defensively, some changes, as you see, for the Jeep defense. Russell Martin back in there. Gurriel went to second base tonight because Aledmus Diaz is in the lineup. Solarte with that big 3-run home run last night. And with Kevin Pillar out of the lineup, one of the best center fielders in all the game, Grichuk moves to center, and Curtis Granderson, who was a DH last night, playing defense tonight in right field.
Once again, the roof is open here at Rogers Center. They open it up about an hour and a half before game time, as Marcus Stroman gets set to make his first career start against the New York Mets. So we're set to go here in Toronto. Brandon Nimmo leads it all for the Mets. Comes in hitting at .264, dozen homers, 25 RBIs. He was on base twice last night, a double and a walk. First pitch in there for a called strike from Marcus Stroman.
A unique motion from Stroman. You're going to get a real pause at the top and then a quick delivery. Very athletic young man. See many shorter right-handers make it as starting pitchers. As you see the shift, but Stroman really 5'7" or 5'8" tops.
Just about a $180. Not a big guy.
Let's have a lot of fans here. You can hear the chant. Let's go Nimmo.
And Stroman falls behind 3-1 on Brandon Nimmo. The 7 line has made their way up here to Toronto.
Wow. About 400 strong.
And on 5 pitches, Brandon Nimmo works out a walk.
Well, Marcus Stroman, I said he's quite a character. Before the game, he has an unusual kind of way of getting ready. As you see his warm-up, as he does a lot of different kinds of exercises to get himself going. I would say this is about as soulful a workout as you can get before a game.
It is extremely unique.
And the pitch, I saw Cliff Lee used to do that, throw a ball from behind the rubber. And Stroman, the pitcher, even a clap for Bautista.
Well, these two guys are pretty good friends, Bautista and Marcus Stroman, as Bautista returned here last night and was on base 4 more times, 3 walks and a single. There goes Brandon Nimmo on a hit and run. That one's fouled back.
Interesting to see. Good jump by Nimmo. Stroman is very slow to the plate. Why not push the envelope? Those are the hats that the Blue Jays wore on their Independence Day on July 1st, maybe in honor or respect
I would think
US.
so. And they had all red uniforms on, at least red tops, on the 1st of July. Now, Stroman, somebody we can expect to see get a lot, induce a lot of ground balls. Had a ground ball percentage at about 63% a year ago. That was tops in all of baseball. We get a look at the Ford leaderboard since 2009. Most home runs in the majors. Bautista 290 of them.
Wasn't Nelson Cruz washed up about 5 years ago?
Amazing how that happens. Nimmo leads off first. He's got 7 stolen bases. Bautista out to right field. Granderson barely has to move. And that's the first out. That brings up Asdrubal Cabrera. He's gone yard in back-to-back games at his 14th of the year against the Marlins on Sunday, and then last night his 15th home run of the season.
It was a 2-run homer in the first that got the Mets started.
Mets got 3 homers on the night, raced out to that 5-1 lead, but could not put the Blue Jays away.
I believe he jumped all over a first pitch from the starting pitcher. A little fastball running away from Estrada. Estrada was only in there for 12 pitches because of a sore right hip.
Nimmo leads off first. We get a look at the numbers here. Asdrubal Cabrera, last 14 games, hitting .345, got off to such a great start, then went into a little bit of a slump, and now has certainly snapped out of it in a very big way.
Well, real chance here to get Stroman. So far in this first inning, his ball has been up in the strike zone. That is unlike him.
That should be two. Nice play by Gurriel to Diaz and on to first. So a 4-6-3 double play. Mets get a leadoff walk, but nothing more. We go to the bottom of the first. The leadoff spot, Justin Smoke at first base, hitting cleanup. Russell Martin once again does the catching. He bats sixth, and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. in the 8-hole, moving from shortstop to second base tonight. He hit what proved to be the game-winning homer in last night's game.
Well, small sample size for the Land Rover numbers for Corey Oswalt. Chased after 2 2/3 innings in his last start against the Marlins.
Granderson very patriotic. Is that a Chicago flag on the back of his?
Yes, it is. South side.
We were talking about what Curtis Granderson might do when he decides to hang it up, and I said, Mayor of Chicago.
Oh, yeah, why not? Roberto Clemente Award winner. That's a very prestigious award for any Major League Baseball player.
Count goes full on Curtis Granderson. On base 3 times in last night's game. Couple of doubles, had an RBI. Granderson with a .364 on base percentage. Into the shift, Cabrera down to a knee, and that's the first out.
Well, defense for the Mets, you see Reyes is in there, .289 hitter in his 3 years for the Toronto Blue Jays. Dominic Smith, I think, is going to play just about each and every day at first base, and in the outfield, Nimmo had 2 fine catches in center field last night. Bautista got on base 4 times.
That brings up Teoscar Hernandez. He has been on base in 8 consecutive games for the Jays.
38 of his 71 hits this year for Teoscar have been extra base hit variety. Came up in two big spots in yesterday's game, didn't deliver, but a big rally for Toronto in the last 2 innings.
Hernandez tried to stretch a single into a double in the 4th inning, and Brandon Nimmo would have none of it. Pretty good throw to get him at second base. On the ground, Frazier charges the short hop. 2 down. Don't see that every day, do you? You love the umpire.
Well, Jim Wolf, who was behind the plate last night, third base umpire today. They still miss Jose Reyes there. Is Jim doing a little stretching? He's in great shape. Looks like an NFL ref.
Well, he is in great shape. He's got Gene Steratore written all over him. I think Steratore just retired.
He did.
Right, going to move into the, I believe, Fox studio. Is their rules official?
Really?
I believe one of the networks, if I have that
I don't
correct.
know about Fox, because you'd have to move. You'd have to move Mike out.
Could I be wrong on that? And Hermes Solarte is the batter for the Blue Jays. Hit that big 7th inning home run off Robert Gazelman last night.
Asking Jan Hermes Solarte today about the home run he hit last night. He just said one word: cambio.
Which means
changeup.
That one wide of first.
Just went down and got it. Not a bad pitch. Better hitting.
And the home run came on his birthday, so that's a pretty good birthday present right there. This one again, just wide of first. Smith makes the dive, and I think he went down hard down there.
It's like he hurt his shoulder or something.
Well, I wonder about the shoulder, maybe the wrist, which he has gotten, that injection in.
I mean, dives to the ball and kind of does a header into the ground.
Popped up on the infield. Frazier, the only one on the left side. 3 up and 3 down here for Corey Oswalt. So no scores. We go to the 2nd. We go top second here in Toronto. Conforto, Flores, and Frazier due up for the Mets. Conforto had a chance in the 9th inning last night with 2 on and 2 outs and grounded out to end the game. So Dominic Smith did hit the deck hard at the end of that last inning, but he comes in and I think he says something about maybe he fell on his elbow.
Yeah, Brian Chiclo came over immediately, the trainer for the Mets. 2 leadoff walks for Stroman here in 2 innings. I mean, if you're Dominic, you're probably more embarrassed than hurt. I mean, he dove for the ball and kind of did a digger into the ground.
So Michael Conforto works out a walk. He's got a walk rate just under 15% on the year. That's 11th best in the majors. Wilmer Flores, his 7th home run of the year last night with a man on. Takes a called strike on a fastball. 93 from Stroman. Wilmer's driven in 10 runs in his last 9 games. So there's Marcus Stroman, and spent time on the DL. Did not get off to a great start, but 7 strong innings last time out.
Did you say he's from what? Medford? Long
Medford,
Island, right?
Grew up right near Stephen Matz. They had sort of an epic high school battle back in 2009.
Medford's near Patchogue, I think.
Correct.
12, that area.
I think he went to Patchogue Medford High School.
Okay.
And Stephen went to Ward Melville. Here's the 1-2 now from Stroman. And Flores waves at it for out number 1.
Russell Martin with a little deke inside with that left foot, and then hopped to the other side to catch that good breaking slider from Stroman. Stroman from Medford. Guy from Islip just texted me and let us know where your referee is going. The CBS.
CBS Sports.
There you go. It's our favorite Mets fan, Boomer Esiason.
Well, good to know Boomer's with us here on this 4th of July.
Bet you he's not in a tie. Having some steak, fresh corn out there.
Frazier hitting just .217 on the season. 0-4 in last night's game. That is right to the second baseman, Gurriel Diaz, and that's another inning-ending double play for the Toronto Blue Jays. Another 4-6-3. No score as we head to the bottom of the second. Justin Smoke leads it off here for the Blue Jays in the bottom of the second. Corey Oswalt, his second inning of work. Well, 12 of Smoke's last 16 hits have gone for extra bases. That one is hit well out to right field, way up in the sky. Bautista has a beat on it, and at the edge of the warning track, the first out.
We try to be factual on the show, right, Gary?
Yes.
So Boomer Esiason let me know he's from East Iceland.
Well, those little details,
They
right?
used to own Iceland. Crushed those guys. So just to get that straight.
Yes.
You know, when my senior year, a friend of mine had gone to Maryland the year prior. He was a really good athlete, baseball player. And I wouldn't say recruited, that's too strong of a word, but reached out. Some people from Maryland asked if I'd be interested. Can you imagine, I was a football player at the time, how much pine I would have sat on?
Oh, my.
You know, with Boomer Esiason there.
It's all about picking your right spots.
Exactly.
I think you made the right choice.
Go to the Ivy League. I know at least I can play.
Oh, you could play. You could. Kendrys Morales is the batter. 35 years old. Just turned 35 years old on June the 20th.
You know, they thought when this signing came about, I think most people in baseball thought it was a great signing for the Blue Jays.
Hit hard out to right field. Bautista doesn't even move. That is up, and that is gone. That is a home run for Kendrys Morales, his 9th of the season. And the Blue Jays have a very quick 1-0 lead.
As I was saying, as I opened my big mouth, is that Morales, though, got in a stretch where he went 0 for 29, and he was a bust early in the season, but now hitting over 300 in his last 23 games.
How about Bautista out there? He did not even move out of his tracks. That was a rocket ship.
Just a hanging breaking ball up in the zone. Oswalt has had a hard time keeping the ball in the ballpark. 4 home runs now in less than 9 innings.
Russell Martin on the very next pitch. Singles out into right field. So back-to-back hits here for the Blue Jays.
Well, it's just been a disaster of a season for the veteran Martin, who is a good player in the middle of a tough season. Batting 167, 168.
That brings up Randall Grichuk.
There's the Jeep pitch cast. You know, when you throw a breaking ball like that, and I threw plenty of them, it almost sits on a tee for the hitter. They just, eyes get wide open, and they don't usually miss that pitch.
Another hard hit ball out to center field. Nimmo first came in and then backs up. And there's 2 down.
Hard hit balls here off Oswalt in this inning.
Well, Oswalt was cruising along until the 3rd inning of his first start and then gave up a couple of long home runs, one to J.T. Riddle and then another one to Lewis Brinson as Lourdes Gurriel Jr. steps in. He was the hero of last night's game, hit that 2-run home run that proved to be the difference. Came off Tim Peterson in the 8th inning to break a 6-6 tie.
His home run last night that ended up being the difference in the ball game. Little split finger down and in that did not break off Peterson, and Peterson suffers his first loss. I asked John Gibbons about Gurriel, and because I've known John so long, I said, can Gurriel play? He said, listen, when you look at our division, they're loaded with young players, young everyday players. Looks like Gurriel got hit on the forearm.
He got hit and we heard him. He was leaning into it a little bit, didn't have a chance to get out of the way as the aforementioned John Gibbons comes out to check on his second baseman.
Saying he got hit more towards the wrist area. I thought he got hit underneath the forearm. Yeah, we'll check it out here. Starts his swing and can't hold back. Hit him in the forearm. Well, anyways, I was asking John Gibbons about Gurriel whether he could play. He said, listen, our division is filled with young, athletic, everyday players. He's our guy. We've got to let him play and see what he can do. Did they say it was a foul ball? Did they say he swung? Might have swung at the pitch.
I don't believe it hit his bat, and so let's see. Oh. Yeah, we heard him say he swung.
You know, that was a great job by DJ Rayburn because the ball did hit him. He immediately asked the first base umpire if he had swung at the pitch, and the first base umpire, Ryan Blakeney, confirmed it. That's good umpiring. Not a lot of empathy for the hitter who just got hit, but good umpiring.
Yep, DJ Rayburn calling the balls and strikes. Ryan Blakeney at first. Sam Holbrook, the crew chief, at second. Jim Wolf is down at third. That one bounces away, and Martin takes off for second on the wild pitch.
Well, when you hang a breaking ball, as he did with the home run to Morales, you can almost count your lucky stars that the next one, he's not, if he's going to miss with it, it'll be in the dirt, and Plawecki couldn't handle it.
So the count is full here on Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Little roller, and that's foul along third baseline.
His brother Ulieski, of course, plays for the world champion Astros. Their dad, Gurriel Sr., was probably one of the 4 or 5 greatest players in Cuban national baseball history.
The Rays were 2 for 6 last night with runners in scoring position. They've got a chance here with Martin off second and 2 outs. Gurriel coming in hitting at .225 on the season with 4 home runs, 11 RBIs. Down to third, Frazier. Nice clean hop. And that's the third out. But the Blue Jays strike first on the Morales homer. It's 1-0 Toronto. Smith coming off a 2 double game in last night's game. Let's go downstairs. Justine Ward, her report is brought to you tonight by Volkswagen. She's in for Steve Gelbs. Good to see you, Justine.
You too, Gary. Well, Dominic Smith is still adjusting to life in the major leagues and all the crazy travel and late nights that come with it. But something he's been doing now for about a year is meditation. He does a lot of guided meditation, which helps him with some breathing techniques. And it's really helpful coming off those night games, trying to unwind after those. And he said some of it has translated on the field. He has a very calm demeanor, and it's helped him in some high-pressure situations to remain relaxed and calm and be able to go through that without any stress.
Thank you, Justine. That's the new age player right there.
I honestly wish I had known that, because the last probably 10 years of my life, probably ever since I started this job, I meditate also. Okay. I would have loved to have done that when I played.
And you'll tell me when?
Or known that anyway.
A chance to visit with Dominic earlier on tonight and talked about, you had those two doubles and then struck out late in the game. And I said, you and I were talking about the fact that his swing was a little bit different in that last at bat. And I said, trying to do too much there? And he said, probably so. I mean, game on the line, just trying to hit the big fly ball.
And Gary, sometimes Dom Smith told me his calm demeanor can be mistaken for him not working hard, but that is his goal. That's his approach. He wants to remain calm, and he definitely wants that to keep translating at the big leagues.
Well, he's got a chance right around this important time for him. You talked about it in the open, that he's going to get some playing time if he produces here.
You know, the Mets are at a point where they have to find out if these young people, Rosario, who's not in the lineup tonight, and Smith, are they real players? Can they play at a high level? Only way you're going to find out is you have to put them out there.
Well, Smith coming in with just the one home run since he's been up. Last year, I think he might have fooled some people. He had the 9 home runs late in the season. I'm not sure that's the hitter that he is. He's a gap-to-gap hitter if he's going to be successful. That went into the shift. And that's the first out.
You can hear it from up here. Every left-handed hitter that hits the ball on the ground to the right side has a few choice words as they're running down to first base, because that is the one thing that they're all trying to avoid.
So I think it begs the next question. How do you begin to avoid it? Where does that mentality begin, and do you begin to teach that at the lower levels?
Well, when they stop paying guys who hit the ball out of the ballpark and strike out, when they stop paying guys who throw 95 miles an hour, then guys might change. But boy, if I were teaching a kid today, I would make sure that he had the ability to hit the ball the other way. Absolutely. I mean, think about a guy like Mark Teixeira. He was a 275 to 300 hitter, and then amidst his career, they started the shifting, and it turned him into like a 225 hitter.
And so Stroman falls behind 3-0 on Kevin Plawecki. Well, how about Matt Carpenter of the Cardinals? He said this spring, I'm changing. I completely changed the way I was approaching at bats. I was swinging up, and he's gone back to being that gap-to-gap hitter that made him successful. And so third walk of the evening issued by Marcus Stroman. We see the big smile on his face, Ronnie. He is a character out there on the mound.
The thing about Stroman is that we are so used to guys doing the same thing over and over because they want to have repeatable mechanics. He's got a little Mark Bird Fitterich in him almost. He will change his mechanics. He will slow down, speed up. He'll quick pitch. He does a He has his own kind of Louis Tion style of pitching, Johnny Cueto style.
Jose Reyes takes ball 1.
This is 2 pitches ago against Plawecki. He gave him like the pause, like he was coming to the plate. It was like a head fake in basketball.
He seems to enjoy what he's doing out there on the mound.
Plawecki almost went up for the block as soon as he head faked.
Well, they teach the defender always stay on your feet, right? Plawecki leads off first, and that one's up high.
Well, Gary and Ron, you were just talking about Stroman. He walked into the Jays clubhouse today ready to go. He was dancing, he was smiling, he had the earbuds in, and then he turned the music all the way up in the clubhouse when he got there. So he was excited to pitch today, I think you could say.
I like that. I like guys that are free spirits. I'm not a free spirit, so guys that are like that, I'm attracted to.
That's a fastball in for a called strike. Stroman, by the way, one of 7 current Major League pitchers born on Long Island. Blue Jays Danny Barnes, Steven Matz of the Mets, Kevin McCarthy of the Royals, Joe Palumbo, Stony Brook guy, Sal Romano of the Reds, and Nick Tropiano of the Angels. Sosa's coming off the DL, a dozen innings, and just 1 earned run for Marcus Stroman. Count is even at 2-2 on Jose Reyes. Right out in front of the mound, Martin quickly thought about second, fires to first. That's the second out.
Well, Martin, even with all the games he has caught, extremely quick behind the plate, made that play look easy. Oh, look at, he's got the hat on backwards underneath the helmet. Old school.
So he's got the hat under the helmet. Now, really old school would be just the hat, right?
Well, you can't do that after you saw Mesoraco get hit on top of the dome last night.
So Mesoraco took a ball off his face mask in the 5th inning, and then a bat on a follow-through in the 7th inning. He ended up leaving the game, and the concussion tests have all come back negative. Saw him in the clubhouse before the game, and he said he's fine. The bad news is that he called me by the wrong name.
He did?
No, I'm joking. That was concussion humor, and I guess I shouldn't make concussion jokes because it is serious business. Mets were 2 for 7 with runners in scoring position last night. Plawecki dives back in safely. It was interesting. You talk about concussion protocol in today's world. They had the test after the game last night and then had one again this morning. And somebody asked him, well, what about overnight? He said, you know, people don't really call overnight anymore, right? You used to not want you to go to sleep at night.
That's right.
Because you might not wake back up if you had a bad concussion, but I don't think they do that anymore. So Stroman has fallen behind another batter. He's 2-0 on Brandon Nimmo, who walked and was wiped out in a 4-6-3 double play in the 1st. That one's hit right back up the middle, and it sneaks through around 3rd. Here comes Plawecki. Here comes Grichuk's throw, and it's not in time. And on the throw, Nimmo is gunned down at 2nd base. So I think they're going to take a look at it. Let's see. We see Gary DiSarcina on the phone inside the dugout.
Well, he got tagged on top of the helmet, so it's whether his foot was there before. One good hitting by Brandon against the shift, goes the other way. Stroman not fielding his position, and the throw from Grichuk over the cutoff man's head. So Martin with the toss. See, he tagged him on the helmet, just whether Nimmo had gotten to the base or not. He did not.
And the Mets are not going to challenge. So Nimmo is out at second, but the Mets have tied this game up at 1 apiece. We go bottom third here in Toronto. Mets and the Blue Jays even up at 1 apiece. Ledmus Diaz leads it off. So it's Diaz, the number 9 hitter, and then Granderson and Teoscar Hernandez due up here for the Jays. Right at Cabrera. Out number 1. So the Mets and Marvel Entertainment present the Noah Syndergaard as Thor t-shirt giveaway to all fans in attendance on Friday, July 6th, when the Mets go to take on the Rays, courtesy of their local Ford dealers. This exclusive one-of-a-kind t-shirt was designed by well-known Marvel artist Joe Q. It is only available to fans in attendance on July the 6th. For tickets, go to Mets.com/tickets. Curtis Granderson rounded out to Cabrera in that first inning. Mets manager Mickey Callaway gave an update today on Noah Syndergaard. He's going to make a rehab start on Sunday in Brooklyn. And Mickey said there's the possibility, anyway, that Noah could return before the All-Star break. Granderson to the left side. Frazier's the only one there. Moving to his right. Plenty of time. That's out number 2. The amazing thing is, Ronnie, when Noah went down, he last pitched on the 25th as we get a look at Frazier again, throwing off balance. So he last pitched on the 25th of May.
Yeah.
Thought it was going to be maybe a start, maybe 2, and here we are in July. And just one of the many factors of why the Mets find themselves in the mess that they're in.
Well, if you think about it, though, since he's been out, the Mets starting pitching has been very good in the month of June. So that was not the issue. The issue was stopped hitting.
Jacob deGrom, Steven Matz have both been really good. Sharp single into center field for Teoscar Hernandez, and so a 2-out hit for the Blue Jays.
Boy, I like this kid's swing. Short to the ball, powerful. Almost the same ball, although this one tailed back to Nimmo. But Nimmo threw him out on. But contact, head on the ball, that straight front leg, and that follow through with both hands, kind of like he throws his hands at the baseball.
That brings up Jan Hervis Solarte. Had a chance to visit with Corey Oswalt yesterday. Said in his first start he thought he was crouched over a little bit too much, that the ball was staying up in the zone because of that. Wanted to stand a little bit taller. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that you know, there's a lot of different ways to do it. I just think for when you're a young pitcher and you get off to the start that he's gotten off to, you know, relax. Don't take every single piece of advice to heart. Just go out there, be athletic, and do what you do.
It in the air to right field. Bautista settles under. And that is the third out. So the Jays get a 2-out single, but Hernandez is stranded as we go to the fourth. Jose Bautista leads it off for the Mets here in the fourth inning. Flied out to right field. It is first at bat. Jose Bautista's baseball card: 6 times an All-Star, 3 times Silver Slugger. Skies one out to right field. Granderson, long run, but he gets there. So 54 home runs in 2010, 43 home runs in 2011. Led the American League in home runs each of those 2 years. 288 home runs as a Blue Jay. That's second in franchise history, behind only Carlos Delgado, another guy who spent plenty of time in a Mets uniform. And they have welcomed Joey Bats back here with open arms.
Yeah, it was a great video tribute before the game, as good as I've ever seen, including, of course, the famous bat flip. It's game 5 of the ALCS.
Look at Stroman right there. That was Louis Tiant-esque, as you said a moment ago.
It's nice to see someone having fun out there, free spirit.
Cabrera takes one the opposite way, but right at Diaz.
Well, I was mentioning the bat flip, and that was game 5 of the ALCS. And listen, I've completely changed my feeling. As a player, I used to hate anyone that bat flipped, and as an announcer, I love it. And that hit at that time and that moment deserved that kind of bat flip, and it'll be remembered forever.
When you saw that, Ronnie, first time you saw that in live action,
yeah,
did you think it was egregious on his part?
No, it was warranted.
So in real time, you thought the moment, it's big, okay, today's game, that's fine.
It wasn't even today's game. It was just such a big hit. It deserved something. And the way he threw it and the face he made, it was almost like, don't come into my house. It's not going to happen. It was really cool.
And I read where Russell Martin felt relieved because he made an error, right? That let the Rangers take the lead as Conforto grounds one into the shift on the right side, and that's Gurriel for the third out. So 3 up and 3 down here for Stroman in the 4th inning. One more time, one of the iconic moments in playoff history. Oh yeah, wow. Jose Bautista. Justin Smoak leads it off here for the Blue Jays in the bottom of the 4th inning. Game all tied up at 1. On this 4th of July, this, as I mentioned earlier, the 4th time the Mets have played a game outside the U.S. on July the 4th. You mentioned Jerry Park. That was in 1973, and then a couple of times at Olympic Stadium, 1991 and 1996. Mets lost all those games. Smoak hits one wide of first. So high-speed pitch, Marcus Stroman. He's dialed it up to 94. We don't expect much more than 90 out of Corey Oswalt. That's about where that fastball sits for him. And that's in there for a called strike 3.
That's his best changeup of the night right there.
First strikeout of the night for Corey Oswalt. And that brings up Kendrys Morales, who homered in his first at bat. His 9th home run of the year. And it was a no-doubter. This one he takes the opposite way. Long run for Conforto. He's going to look up, and he's going to have it go off his glove. And Morales walks into second base with a one-out double. So Michael Conforto got there. He made a leap at the wall, but the ball went off his glove.
You know, I think he lost a little bit where he was because when the ball left the bat, he kind of took his eye off it like he thought it was going to be a home run, and it came back into play and just off the edge of his glove. Now, it would have been a fantastic play if he would have made it, but I think he just lost his place on the field there for a second.
So Russell Martin, who singled at his first at bat, comes up with a runner in scoring position. So the Mets are 28th, Ronnie. 28th in Major League Baseball in defensive runs saved.
And fielding percentage also.
So that's an area that needs to be addressed moving forward.
It's interesting you say that, Gary. So how do you address defense when you're going to put the same people out there every day? I would say that that's probably what you're going to get for the rest of the year.
Oswalt behind 2-0 on Russell Martin, with Morales leading off second.
Well, watch the reaction from Oswalt. You know, he's given up 4 home runs and 10 in the third. He thought this one was the 5th. And he was like, oh, nice. It stayed in the park. Where do I go? I don't know. But at least it stayed in the park.
Randall Grichuk waits on deck. Martin was robbed of a base hit in the second inning of last night's game by Jose Bautista out in right field. So this is the 4th full count for Corey Oswalt here as we play in the 4th inning. And he misses outside, going to put runners at first and second with 1 out.
Remarkably, Russell Martin is not having a good offensive year, but that's his 34th walk. So a guy with that low an average, you would think at 3-2 count, you would just challenge him.
And those walk numbers, he leads all catchers in baseball. So Randall Grichuk a chance to do some damage here. Morales off second. Martin off first. Oswalt needed just 9 pitches to get through the 3rd inning.
You know, with 1 out here, Russell Martin on first base is getting such a huge lead. He's taking the lead almost all the way out to where Dominic Smith is positioned. So if you're going to turn a double play, if the ball's on the ground, whoever's turning it better be careful, even despite the new slide rules.
That one is a fastball on the outside corner. Seth Lugo up in the Mets bullpen, getting warm. And the count evens. I should say it remains at 1-2.
Well, this is what happens when you're a young pitcher. Until you earn the respect of manager, pitching coach, teammates, These are the things that happen. And while you're out there and trying to work out of a jam, sometimes they'll get a reliever ready. Corey Oswalt, a big kid, 6'5", 245.
Oswalt from San Diego, California, born there and still lives there during the offseason. And he gets Grichuk. So a big out for Corey Oswalt. Second out of the inning.
This has been the Achilles heel for Grichuk all season long. It's the breaking pitch that's not a strike. He has not been able to lay off that pitch all season long.
So now 2 outs for Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Obviously getting ahead is so important. Oswalt 9 of 16 first pitch strikes so far tonight. That one is looped into center field. That's a base hit. Nimmo comes up throwing. Kendrys Morales around third with the go-ahead run, and the Blue Jays take a 2-1 lead.
Gurriel's having a nice mini 2-game series here. Inside-out swing on that fastball. Dumps it in front of Nimmo. Morales can't run, so you thought maybe Nimmo would have a chance, but he kind of threw a ground ball in there.
Sort of dunked it, did he not?
I mean, spiked it right to the ground. It's about a 12 hopper into Dominic Smith.
I wonder if it slipped or if his initial thought was I'm going to try to get him at the plate and then I'm going to change my mind, and that was the result.
You know, you have to know as an outfielder, if Morales is on second base, you're always going to have a play at home because he just doesn't run that well.
So Aledmus Diaz, who grounded out to second base last inning, takes a big cut at a 90-mile-per-hour fastball from Corey Oswalt. So the Jays jumped in front, 1-0 in the second. Mets tied it up in the third, and now Toronto has taken the lead back here in the fourth. Martin off second, Gurriel off first.
Diaz had such a strong year in 2016 until he got injured, and 400 at bats, had 17 home runs, but got off to a slow start the next year and was replaced by Paul DeYoung.
190 games over the last couple of years with the Cardinals. Hit hard, but right at Todd Frazier for the final out here in the fourth inning. So the Jays get a run, but Oswalt limits the damage. 2-1 Jays. lead at 2-1. Marcus Stroman has held the Mets to just 1 hit over the first 4 innings. In his 3rd game back off the disabled list, Kendrys Morales solo home run of the 2nd inning. Celebrate Jacob deGrom's all-star level performance this season with a special ticket offer. 4 tickets for $48. They offer select seating areas, valid for all home games through Sunday, July 15th. Subject to availability. For tickets, visit Mets.com/DeGrom. So Wilmer Flores leads it off for the Mets here in the 5th. Flores, Frazier, and Dominic Smith due up here against Marcus Stroman. Frazier struck out in the 2nd. So that's Corey Oswalt between innings. Visit with the manager, Mickey Callaway.
Getting the handshake after 4 innings. As I'm sure Seth Lugo's probably coming in.
Stroman ahead 1-2 on Wilmer Flores. So how about Marcus Stroman, one of 8 pitchers to throw at least 200 innings each of the last 2 seasons. So as you pointed out at the outset, Ronnie, he's not a big guy, but he gets the most out of it. He's tough.
When I read that, that's criminal. It's only 8 pitchers who've thrown over 200 innings.
That's a whole
in the
different
last 2
story.
years. Come on.
Well, we talked about it last night, right? I mean, it's this 100 pitches and you're done.
That's criminal.
So will that ever change? Will we go back to guys throwing complete games, or are those days long gone?
200 is like September 1st. That's what 200 should be. But no, I think they're long gone, Gary. You know.
Wilmer through the left side. And a leadoff single here for Wilmer Flores in the 5th inning for the Mets.
Well, the delayed leg kick did not fool Wilmer. You see Stroman just hold that right foot in the air, but Wilmer stayed back and hit that slider through the hole.
It is, as you said earlier, and as we mentioned, it's very Louis Tiant-esque. Doesn't turn his back to the plate like Tiant did.
He's got his own style, you know, like Tiant had his own style. Johnny Cueto has a great style.
That's Todd Frazier out into center field. Back goes Randall Grichuk to the track, to the wall, and it's off the wall out there. Flores had to hold up to see if it was going to go, and now they're saying it is gone. There was a little bit of confusion.
There's the batter's eye out there, and there is a black kind of a wall that goes across about 6-10 feet over the wall, and that's what it hit coming down. That's why it jutted all the way back out to the field.
Well, Grichuk went back to the wall, and oh, there it is. Yep, it's the black batter's eye.
It's right on that facing.
Yes.
It's hard to see at this ballpark, but Grichuk knew just because of the way it came back on the field, and Todd Frazier needed that.
So Todd Frazier, his 10th home run of the season to give the Mets a 3-2 lead, a 2-run shot.
Well, just a fastball right in the middle of the plate. And Frazier just got it up in the air, and the ball, especially with the roof open, will carry in this ballpark. So these teams trading punches so far this evening, as far as the scoring is concerned.
You were right about the fact that Todd Frazier needed that. Hitless last night, a .188 on the road so far this year for Frazier. Dominic Smith grounded down to third in his first at bat. He skies one just into shallow right field. It's going to be Gurriel putting it away. That's the first out.
You know, we talked about it last night. It's not only that Todd has not been hitting, you know, he's expected in this lineup to do serious damage, to hit those 2-run home runs, drive-in runs. He hasn't been able to do either until right there.
Kevin Plawecki walked in his only at bat so far tonight. Todd Frazier, by the way, now has hit safely in 11 of his 14 games here at Rogers Center. That one is hit hard out into left field. That's going to get down. It bounces over the wall for a ground rule double for Kevin Plawecki.
Well, Plawecki now in his last 11 games is over 300, and you were talking about Todd Frazier, whose lifetime against Toronto is just about at 300. Hanging breaking ball, not missed by Plawecki. Turf comes into play there as it bounced over the wall.
So that's the 9th double of the season for Kevin Plawecki.
Been very impressed with Plawecki and his offensive output this season. Turned himself into a pretty smart hitter. Stroman keeps wiping his hand on his uniform like he's just getting almost too much perspiration and can't grip the ball.
Reyes way out in front of it. It is a humid night here in Toronto. But Ronnie, you played many years in this is summer, right? I mean, this is baseball weather.
Perfect baseball weather. Hotter the better.
The roof open here at Rogers Center. And Reyes watches a called third strike on a 93-mile-per-hour fastball from Marcus Stroman. So that brings up Brandon Nimmo, who knocked in the Mets' first run of the game with a single into center field in the 3rd inning. One of the things you spoke about last night was the need to add on. Well, you've got guys on base, you've got to add on.
Well, the 2-out hit is a backbreaker for any pitcher. And it's interesting that Nimmo, his hit that drove in the run, was up the middle on the right side or to the right of Marcus Stroman, but they haven't made any defensive adjustment. Aledmus Diaz is still on the right side of the bag.
Marcus Stroman, 27 years old. Plawecki leads off second. And that one is outside.
Again, wiping at his pants. It's like Stroman just cannot get a grip on the baseball.
Stroman has already thrown 22 pitches this inning. He needed just 9 to get through the 4th. And the count goes full on Brandon Nimmo.
Might see the same pitch that he struck out Reyes on, trying to come inside 3-2 after throwing that backdoor breaking ball 3-1. Nope, staying outside.
So Brandon Nimmo came into last night's game, won for his last 18, then had a double and a walk, had a chance to do some damage here with Kevin Plawecki on second base. A one-out double for Plawecki. And Brandon Nimmo draws the walk, his second of the night. And so the Mets now have first and second with Jose Bautista coming to bat.
That's Pete Walker, the pitching coach for Toronto Blue Jays, coming out to speak to his ace of his staff. Even though Jay Happ has 10 wins, they consider Stroman their ace. Nimmo coming into the game had a .382 on base percentage. That's gone up now.
Get all the reactions, comments, and opinions from tonight's Mets Blue Jays finale on Mets Blog, presented by Citi. The Blue Jays have activity in their bullpen. Luis Santos is up and throwing. Bautista 0 for 2 on the night. It's flat out to right field on both occasions, in the first and in the fourth.
Luis Santos up in the bullpen for the Blue Jays. Because of Marco Estrada only throwing 12 pitches in his start last night, the Blue Jays had to call a couple pitchers up from AAA.
That one is fouled in the seats down the right field line.
They'll need a new piece of lumber. Cut that off the end.
So the Jays used 8 pitchers in last night's game. As you mentioned, just a dozen from their starter, and so they did make some moves today. And Santos, one of the guys they brought in. Tim Mazur was optioned to AAA Buffalo. As that one is hit up the middle and it sneaks through. Plawecki around third, Grichuk up, and he's not going to throw home, and the Mets tack on another and take a 4-2 lead on an RBI single by Jose Bautista.
Well, outstanding hitting by the Mets in this inning, and a 2-out knock on a hanging slider from Bautista. Diaz was playing him to pull, and that ball up the middle becomes a hit. Nice secondary lead, and with 2 outs, anything that's put in play, you got to be digging. Plawecki scores the 4th run.
So Bautista comes back to Toronto and pays some dividends for the Mets. Asdrubal Cabrera hit into a double play in the first inning and then lined out to second in the fourth. And Stroman is now up to 30 pitches here in this 5th inning.
81 total. He has not been sharp.
And Cabrera screws himself right into the ground. It looks painful for him sometimes.
I mean, you can't even list his injuries. There's just too many.
But the thing about Asdrubal is he comes to play every single day, and he's had a really good first half.
He does. In the Mets uniform, I talked about in the Open, Curtis Granderson, when he's with the Mets, played every day. So does Cabrera.
Mets have put up 3 here in the 5th inning. They've got a chance for more with Nimmo down at 3rd and Bautista on at 1st.
Well, Stroman is the guy that lives on the knees. You know, that's where his strength is. He can photo on deck. And too many pitches have been above the waist this evening for Stroman. That's why he has struggled.
Cabrera, big cut. Count evens at 2 apiece. So Cabrera has hit home runs in back-to-back games before in his career, but he's never gone deep 3 consecutive games. This would be a good spot right here. Cabrera softly over second base into right field. Nimmo comes in. 4th run of the inning for the Mets and an RBI single for Asdrubal Cabrera, who has now knocked in 48 runs on the season.
Well, another 2-out hit by the Mets against Marcus Stroman, who has not been sharp. John Gibbons knows it. Just a breaking ball down. Not an awful pitch, but not the sharp break you usually see from Stroman. And Stroman knows that this is going to be the end of his night.
So that's it for Stroman. Luis Santos on his way in, called to the bullpen. '27-year-old Luis Santos is the new pitcher for the Blue Jays, in a bit of a mess right here with 2 on and 2 outs. And Michael Conforto swings at the first one and fouls it away.
Santos, who was a non-roster invitee to spring training this year, was recalled on May 3rd, pitched in game, and then DFA'd the next day. They then outrighted him back out to Buffalo. Originally signed with the Pirates 8 years ago.
Bautista's at second, Asdrubal Cabrera at first. Michael Conforto goes the opposite way. That's a base hit into that field. Bautista around third. He's going to score, and the Mets extend the lead here at Rogers Center. It's now a 6-2 Mets lead.
Well, whenever you see Conforto have this type of swing on the high fastball, level and going the other way, that's always a great sign.
So the Mets have batted around here in the fifth inning. Wilmer Flores got it all going with a single here in the fifth. So that sort of hitter Conforto needs to be, right?
Well, you know, it's easier said than done, but when you look at him, he's at his best, he's a line drive hitter. He's a 300 hitter, not a fly ball hitter. So all of those things were good there. Two high fastballs. When Santos, he did not miss the second one.
Big cut from Wilmer. Flores hit his 7th home run of the season, came in the 4th inning of last night's game off Gilmet, who was designated for assignment today. Wilmer, soft line to second base, and right there is Lourdes Gurriel Jr. to make the play. But the Mets do some damage here in the 5th inning as they take the lead 6-2. Seth Lugo is the new pitcher for the Mets here as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Lugo moving from the rotation to the bullpen, to the rotation, back to the bullpen. It's been a turbulent year to say the least for Seth, but he has pitched well both out of the bullpen and in a starting role as Curtis Granderson leads it off for the Blue Jays. On the ground, backhand by Cabrera, and there's the first out as we send it downstairs right now to Justine Ward.
Hey Gary, well, you know Jose Bautista set up a big team dinner when they got here to Toronto. Now a couple guys did something very adventurous this morning. They walked the top of the CN Tower, and Jerry Blevins, you can see it there, told me this was always on his wish list. He's there with Tyler Basher, Robert Kesselman, and Kevin Kaczmarski, and he told me the other three guys are actually very afraid of heights, but he got them to do it. They got out of their comfort zone. He actually wasn't too afraid. He said, "You're very much tethered in." 1,100 feet up. Don't know if I could do it, though.
That one is hit well out to right field, and it's slicing foul. So I'm in agreement with you, Justine. That is the largest freestanding structure in the Western Hemisphere. I say yikes to that. I am not.
You know, it's funny, when I was, I think this probably happens to everybody. When I was young, I loved heights, loved rides, loved roller coasters, all of those things. And as I've gotten older, I've gotten fearful, and I can't do it anymore.
Holy cow. I'm not hanging off the side of that.
Is that in the collective bargaining agreement, by the way?
Well, I had a chance to chat with Tyler Batchelor, who was one of the 4 who did it. And he said they hook you in before you even go outside. And then you come out, and he said there's no way you can fall. And I said, "Are you afraid of heights?" He said, "Yes, I'm afraid of heights," but it was just a rush.
Peer pressure. So you had to do
Probably
it.
the new kid on the block, right?
That's right.
Kid, you want to pitch in the big leagues, you come with us. 0-2 here to Teoscar Hernandez. And does he chase it? No, he does not.
Well, to be fair, right, last night I said that for the most part, when you take a Mets starting pitcher out, you bring someone in who probably doesn't have as good a stuff as the starting pitcher you're taking out. Not in this case. Oswalt out, but Lugo, of course, one of the more talented pitchers for the Mets.
Frazier down to a knee, backhands and fires. And that's the second out here. Nice play by Todd Frazier.
See his set position, kind of hops, and then lands on his feet, ready to go either way. And because he's prepared for that bullet by Hernandez, he makes the play.
And Hernandez has pretty good speed. He's got 6 triples this year, but Frazier, the veteran that he is, he knows the situation.
If he can get to it, his hands are fine.
So Jan Hervis Sagarte with 3 on the right side of the infield. Reyes moves to the right side of second base, and then Cabrera and Dominic Smith, and it leaves Frazier as the only guy on the left side. Sagarte has flied out to right field and popped out to third. That one's hit well out to right field. Retreating back is Bautista. It's over his head and off the wall. Sagarte around first, on his way to second, and in with the double. 18th double of the year for Jan Hervis Sagarte.
You see Bautista shaking his head. He knows he probably should have made that play. When he got caught drifting on that ball, and I think the ball carried further than he thought. I think the only way he could have made that play is a full sprint to the wall, kind of stop there and make the play, but he got caught drifting just a bit.
What's interesting is yesterday, Bautista was out there with Glenn Scherbach, the third base coach, and they were looking at angles out in right field where the ball comes off the wall and sort of giving everybody a tutorial.
I think it just surprised him. The ball was hit right on the nose by Solarte and carried on him, so I think that's why Bautista did not come up with the catch.
Justin Smoke with a runner in scoring position coming into the night at 232 with 11 home runs and 42 RBIs. Right to Cabrera. Little hop, and Seth Lugo gets out of it. So Sagarte, the 2-out double. But it's still 6-2. Top of the 6th inning here at Rogers Center. Todd Frazier leads it off. Home run for Frazier. Last time up, his 10th of the season, as the Mets put up a 5 spot on 6 hits in that 5th inning. So Frazier, Dominic Smith, and Kevin Plawecki due up here in the 6th inning for the Mets. Mets send 10 to the plate last inning in scoring the 5 runs. Frazier check swing, stays alive. Frazier sneaks one into right field, a base hit for Todd Frazier, and so the Mets have the leadoff man on here in the 6th. Let's go to Larry Ridley in the studio. Game break brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers. All right, Larry, you know, the heat can bring out the frustration.
Water coolers undefeated, Gary. Never lose.
They never lose. A lot of daytime baseball here on this 4th of July.
The Nationals and the Red Sox, it's kind of a tradition in Washington, played at 11:05 this morning. Red Sox won, shutting out the Nats. Red Sox are now 59 and 29. 30 games over 500.
Wow. So what was we were talking about just the significance of being 30 over.
Well, I think being 30 over after 88 games, it's been 18 teams in the history of the game. 17 have gone to the World Series. So that's what the Red Sox are looking at. And this is the AL East. And one of those 2 teams, Boston and New York, who will play the final weekend of the season, is going to be in a wild card situation.
That will be high drama. And the only team, by the way, out of the 18 that didn't win the World Series, the Seattle Mariners.
I think that station I work for, I'll be doing that wild card game. So I will have the Yankees or the Red Sox in that wild card against someone.
11 of the 12 pitches that Santos has thrown now make it 12 out of 13 have been for strikes, and Dominic Smith goes down swinging.
And it'll be against one of these guys. Seattle has been, boy, what a great story they've been. Cano goes down on an 80-game suspension, and they only got better, led by James Paxton. I mean, that's the problem, is that when you get in that wild card game, if Seattle can throw the big maple at you, James Paxton, he gives you as good a chance as anyone, right?
I would think so. Paxton, the no-hitter this year, happened in this ballpark.
That's right. It just puts so much emphasis on the Red Sox and Yankees winning their division, and that's a good thing.
Well, it used to be you had to win your division.
That's right.
Right? There were only, way back, 2 divisions. It was the American League and the National League. And if you didn't win, that's why it was 162 games or 154, because the regular season had great significance.
Well, I'm old enough that I should probably be a traditionalist, but I love the second wild card. I love that fans all over the country are in it for most of the season. The only issue I have now with a lot of teams that, you know, tanking is used, whatever word you want to use, that aren't good ball clubs, it's really 10 spots out of maybe 20 teams, because there's 10 teams that have no chance.
Right.
So it's I'm a big fan. of the second wild card.
Well, I like it as well. I think it does add some drama as the summer goes along. And Kevin Plawecki looks at a called third strike. Back-to-back strikeouts here for Luis Santos.
And I know a lot of people have talked about making it 2 out of 3. I just know, because I do these wild card games, as the slider fools Plawecki, is that to do a postseason game, and it's like a 7th game right off the bat, is just such high drama. It's great. So great
However,
for TV, not great for the players.
Well, the contrarian would say, obviously, look, you play 162 games, and is the best team always going to win, as Jose Reyes takes a called strike in a one-game playoff? But you're right, the drama. I mean, we don't have enough. In the state of the game right now, Ron, with all the strikeouts, right, and there's so much talk about trying to get more action into the game. Exactly what you're talking about right there. That brings high intensity right out of the gate, the one-game playoff.
But you had 162 games to decide.
And Todd Frazier takes off for second, and Todd is out at second base as Santos recognizes and fires for the 3rd out. So it's a 1-4 caught stealing. Bottom 6 we go. We get a look right now, the road ahead, next 3 series for the Mets, the Rays, the Phillies, and then the Nationals. The Rays, 278, that team ERA since the 19th. That's the lowest in Major League Baseball, and that's when Sergio Romo made the start. The whole bullpenning idea began.
He was the opener.
Right, he started the game.
That's right.
Phillies 4 games in 3 days, doubleheader on Monday, and then the struggling Nationals come town, final series before the All-Star break. That's Kendrys Morales dropping one out into left field. He's around first. Conforto gets there, and Morales a big wide turn, but finds his way back. Good job by Michael Conforto getting to that and holding Morales to a single.
Well, really a pretty good pitch by Lugo, just off the end of the bat from Kendrys Morales. And he's 3/4 of the way to the cycle. Got the big triple left. I was saying before that Morales doesn't have a lot of speed, but he thought maybe he could turn this into a double with his hustle, but then have to shut it down and hustle back.
That's a big man getting back in there.
That's right.
So Russell Martin, who singled and walked so far tonight, Seth Lugo in replacement of, in relief of Corey Oswalt, who went 4 innings, 5 hits, couple of runs, both earned, 65 pitches. So if I'm not mistaken, last night the Mets had themselves a 6-1 lead.
Yes.
Seemed very comfortable at the time.
Well, it's a little different tonight. Oswalt went the first 4 innings, so he's denied his first big league win. Mets put up 6 or 5-run 5th. But you know, you have Seth Lugo out there, which is one of your better pitchers. A little difference.
So Martin out into right field. Bautista backs up on it. Morales around second, on his way to third, and so first and third here with nobody out for the Jays in the bottom half of the 6th.
You know, that was an interesting route by Bautista, maybe because of the lead. He backed up on it. I thought he was going to catch it there for a second, but then he had to run backwards. Why? Because you're going to get a huge bounce, and when you get a big bounce like that, even Morales, who doesn't run well, realizes once it's on the turf, it will have a big bounce, and with that big bounce, it allows him to go from first to third.
So Rogers Center, one of 2 parks in the majors now with AstroTurf, the other being down in Tampa, the Tropicana Dome. So Randall Grichuk with 2 on and nobody out here.
Grichuk is not having a good season, but he's one of those guys that's still scary because he's got light tower power. So strong.
Hit a mile high into shallow center field. Brandon Nimmo, a long run, hesitates, and then makes the catch. Almost overran it right there, but that's out number 1.
Well, sometimes in this stadium, you'll go from looking at the ball in the roof, and then when you clear that, now you're seeing it come out of the sky, so it can sometimes confuse outfielders and maybe confuse Brandon for a second there.
That's interesting, Ronnie, because while the roof is open here,
it's partially open.
Right, deep center field, you're under cover out there.
That's right.
Lourdes Gurriel Jr., RBI single last time up. On this Independence Day, USAA honors those who have served and all of our service members at home and abroad. Gurriel down to third. Frazier backs up to second for 1. They try to turn 2, but it's not in time as Gurriel beats it out and Kendrys Morales scores to cut the Mets lead to 6-3.
Well, Frazier's having a solid game. That was not an easy play to his backhand. Not only did he make it, but got the force at second base. To his backhand, quick spin and the release. And I think that if Cabrera knew who was Gurriel a little better, he would not have thrown that to first. Gurriel's got great speed.
So it's a 5-4 fielder's choice and RBI for Gurriel. So that brings up Ledmus Diaz. Grounded to second in the 3rd inning and lined sharply down to Frazier at 3rd in the 4th. That's Aaron Loup in the Blue Jays bullpen. Loup was one of 8 pitchers to work for the Jays last night. 2/3 of an inning, gave up a hit and no runs. It was John Axford, who ended up getting the win for the Blue Jays in last night's game. He worked an inning and 2/3 as Curtis Granderson would be next for Toronto. Gurriel leads off first.
When I see those numbers, a stark difference as a bullpenner and a starter. 189 opponent's average.
Diaz backed off the plate. So when Lugo took over as a starter, right? We heard the manager say, bring it from the beginning, right? Give us everything you have right out of the gate. But how different is that mentality when you're starting and relieving?
Well,
Diaz down to third. Frazier goes the short way.
We'll talk about it later, right?
Yeah, when we come back after a break. So the Jays get a run. We go to the 7th at 6-3. Center is back, teaming up with the New York Jets. We're looking to help local football leagues with grants, equipment donations, clinics, and Jets game experiences. Does your league need assistance? Apply today at sny.tv/playball. We go to the 7th inning here in Toronto. The Mets lead the Blue Jays 6-3. Aaron Loop is the new pitcher for the Jays. He's their 3rd pitcher of the evening.
Tulane University left-hander. He pitched in last night's game. Who didn't?
Jose Reyes out to right field. Granderson over near the line. And that is the first out. Let's go back to the studio. Larry Ridley with another game break. The old players only meeting.
I've been involved in about a half dozen of those players-only meeting. I'd have to say, in retrospect, total waste of time.
Because?
No, it's just, it's frustration, and it's pointing fingers without pointing fingers, in the sense that we've got to get going. We've got to nose to the ground zone. It's all the cliches you could ever want. And everyone in the room knows you have to do that. You certainly don't need a players meeting, but sometimes it works. Just in my history of it, I never thought it made any sense.
Brandon Nimmo goes down swinging. First time Nimmo has been retired tonight.
Davey Johnson, watch where the pitch comes from first. If you're a left-hander, it comes right from like where Gurriel, the second baseman, is, and breaks right across the plate. So difficult on lefties. I was saying that Davey Johnson's meetings were always great. One, because he'd yell and scream and get your attention. But two, he always picked a day that Dwight Gooden was pitching.
So the meeting would be effective.
It was always effective.
Look effective.
I mean, the first 2 years, Dwight would win every game. So
Jose Bautista flied out to right first couple of at bats. RBI single in the 5th. Jerry Blevins now getting warm in the Mets bullpen. Post time.
Whoa.
Bautista barely gets out of the way.
Just a slider at the feet of Bautista as the bail, and just gets that right foot out of the way.
So the count is even, 2-2 here on Jose Bautista. Strikes out, but it gets away, and Bautista takes off for first, and he is going to be safe. He's looking back saying, was that a foul tip?
Well, Russell Martin was trying to argue that it was a foul tip, but it was not. And it got away from Martin, and even with the strikeout, Bautista takes first base. That's just a miss by Martin.
So the Mets have a base runner here with 2 outs.
See, Martin almost meant it's like he was motioning to Bautista. Did you foul that off? He just missed it.
That's a
ball.
Pass ball on Martin.
Yeah.
So Asdrubal Cabrera takes inside. RBI single in the 5th inning, where the Mets put up a 5 spot to take command of this game. Mets had 6 hits in that 5th inning. Flores singled, the home run by Frazier. Plawecki doubled. Bautista an RBI single. Cabrera an RBI single. And the same for Michael Conforto. More activity in the Blue Jays bullpen.
Reiner Cruz, another new face in the bullpen.
Cabrera slices one out to right field. It falls in front of Granderson. Around first, on his way to second is, I should say on his way to third, is Jose Bautista, and the Mets have runners at the corners.
Well, as nasty as Loop is against the lefties, he's not as nasty naturally against the right-handers. Inside out swing from Cabrera, dumps it in front of Granderson, and you always, if you have a chance, want to run on Granderson. And again, just like last inning, Bautista had to wait. And once it hits the ground, he knows the big hop is going to allow him to go to third. The big hop on the AstroTurf. This will be a real test here for Conforto. Keep that front shoulder in, stay in against the side arming loop.
Well, just in case you're keeping score at home, that was the first mound visit for the Blue Jays. So it's now 6-5.
I thought he came out to speak to Stroman earlier. Thought that was the second visit.
Was that to change?
No. It's not been a good year for Conforto as he tries to get out of the doldrums. Big hit in his last at bat. See if he can do it again.
Bautista on third and Cabrera off first. Wilmer Flores would be next for the Mets.
Big shift, tough left-hander. I know it's easier said than done. Ground ball to shortstop works.
And that's on the outside corner for a called strike, and Luke gets ahead 1-2. Boy, that is a huge hole between third and Diaz, who's on the right side of the bag, as you said, Ronnie.
But just with Luke, you're going to get most of the pitches, 90% of the pitches, lefty to lefty, are going to be away. Either his fastball away or his breaking ball.
Conforto to the left side, but right at the third baseman, Jan Hervis Samarte. So the Mets get a couple of hits, but they strand them both. So Seth Lugo back out for another inning of work, facing the top of this Blue Jays lineup. Granderson, Teoscar Hernandez, and Jan Hervis Samarte. Granderson is hitless on the night. Hasn't gotten the ball out of the infield. A couple of ground balls to second and one to third.
think Lugo's in a position here, Gary. He's going to be pitching until he's not effective.
And Curtis Granderson goes down on strikes.
And what I mean by that is he could be in here for the duration. He's stretched out enough, right?
Why not?
As a starter for a few starts, 4 or 5 starts. Although there is activity, Gazelman and Blevins. Jerry's been pitching for like the last 4 innings.
Well, it seems like he gets up a lot these days.
He does.
And doesn't always get in the game. Teoscar Hernandez 1 for 3, and
That's got to be a swing.
he goes around.
There we go.
And so Lugo gets ahead of Hernandez. Boy, Lugo's one of those really invaluable guys, right? There used to be a lot of guys like this in baseball who could go multiple innings. He could fill so many roles for you.
You know, you were asking me the question before about Lugo, who was a little disappointed that he was taken out of the rotation and put back in the bullpen. I think that's where he's more effective for this ball club at this point. That being said, there's such an uptick in his stuff when he relieves that I know he can be an effective starter, but as we showed the numbers of him as a starter and reliever, he is a dominant guy out of the bullpen. He's a very good starter. So very good as opposed to dominant. There's a difference.
Hello. Well, it was last night in the 7th inning when the Jays did some serious damage, putting up 5 runs. Lugo, very different story so far here in the 7th as Hernandez goes around. Back-to-back strikeouts for Seth Lugo.
Anyone who has a good curveball, watch the shoulders. They have that nice tilt. And when they lean back, that tilt with the back shoulder then comes through on top of that baseball, and that's how you get the real good rotation. And we know Lugo has some of the best spin rate of any curveball in the game.
36 pitches so far for Seth Lugo, 27 of those 4 strikes.
And I'm not talking about the breaking ball or the slurve. I'm talking about the traditional curveball over the top, 12-6. Any pitcher who throws that has great kind of shoulder tilt.
Jan Hervis Solarte, first pitch swinging into left field. Michael Conforto has it lined up, and so 1-2-3 inning here for Seth Lugo, really strong. So we go to the 8th. Mets still lead at 6-3. Tomorrow, then open up a 3-game weekend series with the Rays out at Citi Field. Start of an 11-game homestand. Our coverage here on SNY getting underway at 6:30. Jacob deGrom going to be on the mound to start that series for the Mets on Friday. And then Steven Matz goes on Saturday against Blake Snell. And the Mets have not named a starter for Sunday yet.
Blake Snell is going to be a handful. He's top of the list for Cy Young this year in the American League. Cruz in to pitch for the Tampa Bay Rays. He hasn't pitched in a major league game since 2013.
First pitch swinging. It's sliced down into right field by Wilmer Flores. He's around first. Wilmer taking off for second. It's going to be a stand-up double for Wilmer Flores. And welcome back, Reiner Cruz.
Well, fastball running in. You know, a lot of times we talk about guys trying to go the other way. He wasn't trying to go the other way. He was just jammed late, but it turned into a hit. Cruz is like, oh, wait a minute. The last time I pitched in baseball was 13. They didn't shift like that. I haven't seen that in a while.
Welcome to the big leagues, young man. Todd Frazier now with a runner in scoring position. Mets are 4 for 7 with runners in scoring position so far tonight.
The reason Santos and Cruz were brought up from AAA is because the Blue Jays used 8 pitchers yesterday because Marco Estrada only lasted 12 pitches as the starting pitcher.
It's been a big night for Frazier so far. He homered in the 5th inning, his 10th home run of the year, and then singled in his last at bat, and then was caught stealing. In there for a called strike. So the Mets have lost 2 games this season in which they led by 5 or more runs in the 7th inning or later. One of them was last night as they take a 3-run lead into the late innings here tonight.
Boy, it doesn't matter who you bring up, right? If they come from AAA and they come to the major leagues, everybody throws 95 plus. Almost makes 95 not mean anything if everyone's throwing 95, right?
The game has certainly changed, evolved. And Frazier takes a called 3rd strike, and none too happy about it, and lets DJ Rayburn know about it.
That ball catches a lot of the plate.
I'm trying to figure out what the beef is.
I think maybe he just got caught guessing.
That brings up Dominic Smith, who's hitless on the night. Struck out in his last at bat in the 6th inning. Flores dancing off second. And a called strike 1. Cruz is 31 years old, from Santo Domingo, the Dominican Republic. That one gets behind Russell Martin, and Flores trots into 3rd.
Change up there by Cruz. That's a play you think that Martin should be able to get a glove on, just off the end of his glove.
So it's a wild pitch. It actually went off the leg there of the home plate umpire, DJ Rayburn. The Blue Jays have the infield in here, trying to keep this lead at 6-3. Hammered just foul down the right field line. Kevin Plawecki waits on deck. He's had a good night. Walk and a score, and doubled and scored in the 5th inning as well. Another one gets away. Flores thinks about it, but then wisely retreats back to 3rd.
Well, this is the kind of at bat that Dominic Smith can try to endear himself to his manager. This breaking ball almost hits the back foot of Smith. This time a better play by Martin. Situational hitting late in the game, trying to add on a run. These are the kind of at bats that you want to show the manager that you know what you're doing. Get that run in.
So Dominic Smith, 23 years old, and when I went up to say hi to him earlier tonight, I went in with a hard right hand shake, and as I was doing it I realized probably shouldn't do that with his right wrist not at 100%. Flores diving back in front of the Russell Martin throw.
Well, Martin called for that fastball away to put that play on, to try to pick off Flores. Fastball away, quick release, and Wilmer scrambles back.
Three-two pitch. Dominic Smith sends it out to left field. Long run out there for Teoscar Hernandez, but he makes the catch, and Flores hangs on over at 3rd base.
Long run for Hernandez, and although this wasn't an accurate throw, he was so close to the infield. No chance for Flores with his speed to tag up.
So a chance here for Kevin Plawecki. Plawecki began the night hitting .229 with just the 1 home run. And that one is hit well out to left field. But retreating back there is Teoscar Hernandez to make the catch. So that was way up in the air, but Cruz escapes out of it. We go bottom 8, 6-3. Tonight's starters presented by People's United Bank. Corey Oswalt went 4 innings for the Mets. Marcus Stroman lasted just 4 2/3. 6 hits and 6 runs. Mets beat them up pretty good in that 5th inning when they scored 5 runs on 6 hits.
Well, Seth Lugo went 3 strong innings, and now Jerry Blevins into the game. Jerry has not pitched since Friday night when he got 4 outs in Miami.
Seth Lugo pitched really well tonight. 3 innings, 3 hits, just the 1 run. 37 pitches. Smoke, Morales, and Martin due up here in the 8th inning for the Blue Jays. First pitch from Blevins is hit hard down into left field, but that hook's foul.
I honestly was pretty surprised that Lugo's out of the game. What did he throw? 36,
37 pitches. Yep.
Was so effective, especially his last inning, couple of strikeouts and a meaningless pop-up. But on to Blevins. You know, in the American League, because you don't have the pitcher spot hitting, you can really run out your reliever out there until you want, as long as he's effective. But
popped up on the infield. Who's going to take it? It's going to be Cabrera for the first out.
you know, this is just a little thing, but when you have a pop-up in the infield like that, as a pitcher, once you recognize just one person calling, that's when you want to start yelling that person's name. You know, Cabrera caught it, so Cabby is his nickname. You start screaming that to make sure the other infielders know to lay off.
Well, are you the general as the pitcher on that play, or not necessarily?
Not the general, but you just want to see all the other infielders are looking at the ball, right? So they're looking where it's going to land and who's going to catch it. But once one guy identifies he's going to catch it, then you let the other infielders know to call off the jam. Roller derby term, by the way.
Kendrys Morales, a triple shy of the cycle. He homered in the second, doubled in the fourth, and singled and scored in the sixth inning.
Tape, but no batting gloves for Mr. Morales.
Well, that would make Keith very happy, wouldn't it?
Right.
Well, for the record, Morales has 10 doubles on the season, but no triples. Not a man of great speed.
6 in his whole career.
Only 2 Blue Jays have hit for the cycle. Kelly Gruber and Jeff Fry. And Morales goes down on strikes for the second out.
Good breaking ball by Jerry. It's almost like he took a little off that curveball. It's good to see. Morales is way ahead of it.
So that brings up Russell Martin, who's been on base all 3 times tonight with a couple of singles and a walk. 6 runs, 10 hits, no errors for the Mets. 3 runs, 8 hits, and no errors for the Blue Jays. Coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night, complete wrap-up of the day in baseball. Some great July 4th Major League moments. I can think of one back in 1985.
Okay, yeah, I remember that one.
And I think Joey Chestnut, was he the man again out in Coney Island today?
I can't watch that. Cannot. Who decided that they can soak the hot dog buns in the water, by the way?
Oh, my goodness. 1-1 pitch to Martin.
You know, when I think of July 4th, I think of Dave Righetti and the no-hitter that he threw at Yankee Stadium against the Red Sox. I think it was 1981. Could be wrong. But you're talking about the 19-inning game the Mets were involved in.
1985 down in Atlanta.
That's right.
Fulton County Stadium. That one is rifled back up the middle for a base hit. So Russell Martin, his third hit of the night. And here comes Mickey Callaway. So Blevins retires the first two batters he faces, but then gives up the single to Russell Martin, and so Robert Gazelman is on his way in. First pitch swinging down to third. Frazier backs up, goes the short way, and on one pitch, Robert Gazelman works his way through this eighth inning. So we go to the ninth. The Mets lead at 6-3. All right, Eamon and Nelson. Bit of different story, as you said, for the bullpen. Robert Gazelman, who gave up that game-tying 3-run home run to Jan Hervis in last night's game, just needing one pitch to get Randall Grichuk. So we go to the 9th inning, and Jose Reyes leads it off here against Rainer Cruz. As Jeurys Familia will be coming in the bottom of the inning. And Cruz falls behind 2-1. 26,000 on hand here at Rogers Center tonight for the second game of this 2-game series. Last time the Mets were up here back in 2015, they were swept away in a short 2-game series. They were outscored 15-1 in those 2 games. Nice and Cologne were the losing pitchers. And Reyes waves at strike 3. So 1 down here for the Mets in the 9th. So some very rich baseball history here in Toronto. The World Championships back-to-back in '92 and '93. And then the American League Championship Series appearances in 2015 and 2016. I was in the building, Ronnie. 1993, Joe Carter, the walk-off off Mitch Williams.
You'll never hit a bigger home run, Joe.
That was a magical base. That's why we love baseball, for moments like that.
Yeah, magical except for Mitch Williams and the
course.
Phillies. But
Yes.
yeah, you're right.
We were talking last night. I mean, they drew 4 million fans here during the heyday.
They were so good. I mean, they had, and you know what they did, those teams in those years? Not only had solid starting pitching and a great bullpen, but they would always add on whatever piece they needed, whether it was a Jack Morris or David Cohn or a Mookie Wilson. They always added on late in the year to solidify their team.
So Cruz getting ahead here of Brandon Nimmo, 1-2. Nimmo's been on base 3 times tonight.
When we talked to Brandon yesterday, he was explaining that he knows that he's been a little late on the fastball, so he's just trying to get a little quicker, a little shorter to the baseball.
Soft line drive, and Gurriel reaches out and makes the catch for the second out here in the 9th inning. Boy, Gurriel always has a smile on his face.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a knuckleball, but it seemed to fool Gurriel a little and work its way away from him, but still comes up with the catch. Showing his versatility. Shortstop last night, and he's playing second base in tonight's game.
As you said, John Gibbons going to give him playing time. He brought him here. He wants him to play it. So a nice ovation here for Jose Bautista. Barring this game going to extra innings, it will be his final at bat here in Toronto this season, or potentially ever.
That's right.
Right? So many great years, almost 10 years here in a Blue Jays uniform.
He started this series with his press conference and explaining that there was going to be a lot of emotion for him playing in another uniform in this ballpark. 10 years of excellence for Jose here.
Big swing and a miss.
With 2 outs in the 9th with a 3-run lead, I think he only has one thing on his mind: try and hit this ball out of the ballpark.
That would be a fitting moment for Bautista, who's got 3 home runs in a Mets uniform this year.
Bow down.
On the ground. Gurriel fires and gets his man, and so 3 up and 3 down. We go bottom 9. Mets lead at 6-3. Presented by Verizon. Visit SNY.TV or download the NBC Sports app for live streaming coverage of every SNY Mets game.
Oh, now you tell me. As Jay Ruiz Familia comes in for
Better late
the
than
Mets. You know, it's been a struggle for Familia. He needs one of those 1, 2, 3 easy saves.
Gurriel, first pitch swinging. Reyes up and firing, and that is out number 1.
That's 1. The throw was a little off. Nice footwork from Dominic Smith to get himself on the inside part of that bag, because the throw sails from Reyes. See how he gets over and has just his toe on the tip corner of that bag. That's good footwork by Dom.
Well, Dominic Smith coming up through the system was always known as a good defender.
Well, he's got good feed. Certainly being a little thinner makes him move around a little better. But he's saying to Reyes, hey, just throw it at my chest. Chest high, let's go.
Ledmus Diaz fouls it away. Diaz hitless on the night. Grounded out to second in the 3rd, lined out to Frazier in the 4th, and fielder's choice in the 6th. Corey Oswald started for the Mets, 4 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs. Then Seth Lugo, 37 quality pitches, 3 innings, gave up just a run. Blevins, 2/3 of an inning, and then Gazelman, who had that rough night last night, just needing 1 pitch. to get Grichuk in the 8th inning. And so Familia on to try and close it out here in the 9th.
Well, that's a nice sign, right? Gurriel hits one into the ground for an out to Reyes. And now 3 swings from Diaz. All 3 have been pounded into the ground.
Well, Familia is one of those prominent names you hear when you talk about if the Mets open for business here at the trading deadline. He will be in demand if he's healthy and pitching well. Contenders can use a good closer. 0-2 pitch coming to Diaz.
Well, not only could he be your closer, but he's also spent some time early in his career as a setup man. So he could, if he goes to a championship kind of ball club that already has a closer, you know, he might not have that role, but still he's had that job before.
Mets defense straight away on Diaz. On the ground down to third. Frazier charging. 2 outs. So the Blue Jays are now down to their final out, as Curtis Granderson, hitless on the night, 0 for 4, comes to the plate. Mets going to have an off day tomorrow and then beginning that series against the Rays out at Citi Field on Friday. 11 games in 10 days right before the All-Star break. Well, plenty of Met fans in attendance here tonight. We hear the "Let's Go Mets" chant.
Last time I saw this many Mets fans, they were in Arizona, and the Mets got a win, so they are good luck so far.
Familia behind 2-0 on Granderson. Curtis breaks his bat. Frazier settles under it on the edge of the outfield grass, and that is the final out of the ball game. Jeurys Familia, 1-2-3, 9th inning, and the Mets gain a split of this 2-game series with the Toronto Blue Jays. They get the win by a final of 6-3.
Well, maybe the last game for Bautista in Rogers Center. Mets needed this win before they go home to play 11 games in 10 days. Nice job by Oswald to start, but even better by Seth Lugo with those 3 important innings in the middle of the ball game.
2 hours and 46 minutes here at Rogers Center tonight. Seth Lugo's the winning pitcher. You mentioned, Ronnie, he was really good tonight, effective 37 pitches. Marcus Stroman